Welcome back, Quest for You fans. I'm Janine. This is my podcast, and I hope you enjoyed the last 2 weeks. Maybe it gave you a break to catch up on some of the episodes that accumulated in your playlist, or you just enjoyed some of the refreshers I sent out, or maybe you didn't listen at all. Maybe you took a break, just like I did. Either way, I'm happy you are back here with me as we are hitting the next milestones. And I want to start out today with a call to action. Every episode contains tips, ideas, encouragement, and motivation. It's important for me that you have something to take away with you, something that you can try to do or implement in your own life. And today I want to make action the topic of the episode. It is time for action. Content, I realized, is abundant. My episodes are filled with content, stories from others, personal experiences, stuff I researched, poetry, book reviews, so much content. And usually a little tidbit here and there. Try this, think about that, or spend time on this. We have an overabundance of content available to us. Just like I spend hours every week creating it, so do hundreds and thousands of other people. They write, they photograph, they paint, they record, and they play. And then they put it out into the world for our consumption. Most often over the internet. And we consume. In fact, we get really caught up in consuming. The economist Tyler Cowen points to an obvious shift in our economy. He said, the more information that's out there, the greater the returns to just being willing to sit down and apply yourself. Information isn't what's scarce. It's the willingness to do something with it. We get comfortable consuming. It's safe. Listening to a podcast and then another one is my favorite excuse for not thinking. Sometimes I notice, hey, I've heard this exact thing before. And yes, we do. The same people are interviewed on several podcasts. Sometimes they share new information, but often they tell their same stories. We read articles that repeat stuff we've heard before. We read one self-help book or leadership book after another because it's safe. By telling ourselves there's always something we can learn, we make an excuse for not taking action. Now, I don't want you to take this the wrong way. Of course, I want you to continue listening to mine and all your other podcasts that you love. Learning should never stop. I get wonderful ideas and inspirations from the material that I consume. But with all the information so freely available to us, we easily turn into collectors of information, but never actually generate any results. Because we don't use the information we gather. We merely store it somewhere, and often we don't even retain it. There's no need. There's always more out there, and should we forget something, we can always Google it. The best way to retain knowledge is to apply it. And that is why I started my podcast. I get it. Taking action is risky. We never feel ready. We don't think we know enough to begin. There are too many obstacles that still need to be cleared. And why leave our safe space? Remember Nokia? If you were an adult when cell phones became popular, then one of your first phones was probably a Nokia. My first job when I switched to logistics was inside a Nokia plant. Nokia was the Apple of mobile phones in its heyday, until Apple came along. Before Apple, there was the Razor from Motorola for a while. I'm sure you had one of those because I remember everyone having one. This was the hottest thing at the time. Slick, shiny, thin, and super cool looking. And then Apple came along and took over with slick smartphones, while Nokia kept producing candy bar style phones that were bulky and antiquated. Nokia's decline in mobile phones was a combination of factors. Management decisions, comfort with the success that they saw, dysfunctional organizational structures, growing bureaucracy, and internal rivalries all played a part. But in the end, it all comes down to action. Nokia didn't want to change, which is inaction. And that can mean the end of any successful company. This quote by Martin Luther King is a favorite of mine. Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. Nokia was afraid to take the first step. They waited for others to leap into smartphones first. They thought, they could always jump in later. They were Nokia after all, the most popular brand. But sometimes, not taking the first step means missing the beat completely. For us and our goals, the first step means getting off the ground. And we try. We really want to. So we dabble somewhere in the middle of inaction and action. I call it getting ready. I am really good at getting ready and gearing myself up for action. I'm the best list maker there is. I actually just finished my weekly list before I started recording. If you ever need anyone to create a list for you, please call me. I make lists all day long, everywhere, on sticky notes, on my phone, on my Outlook calendar, on my Google calendar. I make grocery lists for a given day and what I will do that day. Then I have subject matter lists. For example, a list of all the climbing knots that I need to learn. To-do lists, my favorite. Exercise lists with all the workouts that I'm going to perform. Creating lists is action, right? Well, at least it feels like action. But really, lists are just a way to motivate ourselves, to get us a step closer. But they are not the action that will get the job done. Action kicks in once we do the thing that we wrote down. So let's start today and take action. First, let's get rid of the excuses. They are there, whether you admit it or not. Let me refresh them for you so you are clear on what an excuse is. I'm waiting for help. The conditions aren't right. I don't know where to begin. Whatever I do will not make a difference. I can't decide. I'm stuck. It's a favorite of mine that I often say when I climb. I need more information. Someone is already doing it better than I could. I can't seem to find the time. And I need to think about it more. Excuses, in my opinion, are often the only thing that keeps us from moving forward. They are powerful because they are stuck deep in our unconsciousness and rule our behaviors from behind the scenes. We need to find out what our excuse is, name it, and then put it off to the side. It's just an excuse, a perception of a situation that is merely based on assumptions. Once we pay less attention to it, we can move closer to action. Second, settle on one thing. Our excuses often take over because we are focusing on too many things at once. Exercising more can be a huge goal that involves many overwhelming decisions. Gym membership, time commitment, diet adjustments, clothing purchases, and so on. Break your objective down into a small goal that you can start today. Remember, our objective is action. Find something that can gain you traction today. Don't know where to start? Recall some of my episodes that you listened to recently. What stuck with you? What is something where you nodded your head and thought, yeah, I need to be doing that? What has been on your mind lately? Do you need more sleep? Do you feel you need to reduce your coffee intake? Do you want to move more? All these are steps that you can take today. Don't allow your heavy brain overweigh these small steps with the bigger things you really aspire. For many people, it's being in shape, slim and trim. That is a long-term goal that cannot be accomplished overnight. Start with one skill today. Better sleep, for example, is key in weight loss. Without proper rest, your body will not be on your side when you tell it to exercise or eat smaller meals. You can start with sleep today. You can skip the wine with dinner tonight. You can walk around the office at lunch for 10 minutes today. So start today. And then step number 3, practice every day. Only when you can commit to it every day, does it count? Catching up on sleep today and then staying up late again the rest of the week, that's not action. It has to be something you can do consistently, day after day. We are great in choosing big goals, and sometimes we even get started on them. But often, they are too big and weigh us down. We don't have the time we thought that we would have, or money runs out, and then excuses move in. So pick an action that you can perform daily, including weekends. You can probably take a 15-minute walk every day. Or you can go to bed 15 minutes earlier every day. Or practice your instrument for 15 minutes. What can you do for 15 minutes each day? I think 15 minutes is perfect. It will not kill your schedule. Anything longer, and you're less likely to do it. Sometimes you even need less. But the key is in the daily practice, because it fosters consistency. Once a week for 2 hours is not the same. Wondering where to get those 15 minutes from? It's simple. Consume less. Cut down on your learning time and start doing. Translate your knowledge into action. You can continue to read and study and become better, but you also need to take action. That is a trade-off in time, and it may cut down on your learning time, but that's okay. And let me tell you from experience, you don't really know what you need to learn until you start practicing. Action is immediate feedback. The fancy shoes you bought for running weeks ago may look cool, but until you start to move in them, you don't know if they hurt or help your running. Action will give you the feedback you need to progress on your journey. Once you move, you'll get more clarity on the actual knowledge you really need, instead of just consuming everything that seems interesting. Regular small change done consistently over time is better than trying to cram occasionally and in large chunks. This applies to all areas in your life. Exercise, diet, reading to your kids at night. It's all about consistency. So, 3 simple steps. Quit the excuses, settle on one action, and then do it daily. Keep it in mind as you listen to my podcast over the next days, or you're reading in your leadership books, or you're signing up for another course or seminar. Ask yourself, why are you consuming this information? What are you trying to change? There is something you are seeking, and sometimes we are not even clear on that. So find out what it is, because your chance of finding it is much bigger when you take action. Much love.